Hey there, everyone. I'm Ryan Woldt, the host of the Coffee People and Coffee Smarter podcasts. This crazy dog is Keto. He wanted to join us today and get involved in the show. Our podcast is presented, by Roastar Coffee Packaging. You can find them online at roastar.com. They're a coffee packaging company based in the Midwest, actually in my hometown of Wausau, Wisconsin. But there's so much more to this show than just this company that helps enable us tell these stories. They're our partners. They're our collaborators. They actually made this bag for me right here, the collab that we did with Relative Coffee out of Minneapolis. So for those of you that are listening and watching, if you're looking for a new coffee packaging partner, someone who will create packages that are worthy of those specialty craft beans you're going to put in them, check out roastar.com. You can bring your own design. You can develop something new with the help of one of their recommended designers. You can even create something from scratch using their AI-powered design lab, which is still relatively new, but is very cool. On roastar.com, they'll enable you to tell the big story of your small business in the same way that they've enabled us to tell the stories of coffee people, which we really appreciate. Check them out on roastar.com. And now, it's time for the show. I'll just get started. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Coffee People podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Woldt. The show is presented by Roastar Coffee Packaging. You can find them online at roastar.com. You'll find that link and the one to our newsletter and our Coffee Smarter podcast in this podcast show notes. You'll also find links to Inflection Point Coffee. Today, we're popping in with Andrew Scott, the founder and head roaster of Inflection Point. So if you haven't poured yourself a cup of coffee, now is the time. I've got mine. Andrew, welcome back to the Coffee People podcast. How are you today?
Oh, I'm very good today, and it's very good to be back. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're good. It's kind of a gloomy morning outside. I've been drinking coffee for 3 hours. I'm wearing my National Park sweatshirt. It's not an Eagles sweatshirt. I just want to make that clear. Congrats to the Eagles, but the national parks need my support right now, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I gotta say, like one of the weird, odd things about being in the farmers markets on the weekends is I get these tourists coming through San Diego. It's this tourist destination, right? Who are coming here from Maryland, from Montana, from all over the place, and they remind me just how very good we do have it here. I mean, we're kind of I'm kind of complaining about gloomy and un, you know less than perfect weather because it's only 65 in the middle of February. We've got a
But there's no humidity, Andrew, and it feels colder than 65.
we're so spoiled. We're so spoiled.
My
It's
mom was
excellent.
just visiting, and she sent me a photo. When she pulled into her driveway, there was about a foot of snow waiting for her,
Yeah,
and so I thought,
yeah.
you gotta make the best of it, no
Right?
matter what. It's been, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I saw you at SCA last year, so that was probably the last time I saw you in real life, I think. Ran into you there. Before that, we had already chatted on the show, maybe a year before that. At that time, you had brought in this new electric roaster. You were building out the garage. Where are we at today? Are we still building? Are we still permitting? Are we still figuring it all out? What's the story on the roasting operations at Inflection Point?
Okay, so there was a whole lot of drama. We don't need to go through and rehash all of that. I'm really trying to put the worst of it behind me. But at the end of the day, we did get it done. The space that you're seeing behind me now, the last time we spoke, even though it was only an audio recording there, you could see the space behind me was very much a garage. We had cleaned it up. We had made it presentable and usable, but it was still very much a garage. And now this is my roastery. Every once in a while I'll still like trip up and call it a garage, but it's a dedicated space for what I'm doing now. So it's very finished, finally finished. It's technically permitted as an ADU, so an auxiliary dwelling
Okay.
unit within California, which is important for some of the permitting and the licensing. So technically, we could rent this out as a studio apartment, but instead we're using it for my roastery space. We did some upgrades to make it usable for my roastery, so the outlets have a bit more juice going to them. We've got a couple 220 outlets. We've got space for a larger um, machine to come in soon.
That's
Um,
exciting.
so we'll be working on that. But with the ADU, we've got a full bathroom instead of just a hand washing station or a sink. We had to put in a full kitchenette. So again, another sink. We had to get a stovetop, a cooktop surface. We had to have a refrigerator in here, which I was going to do anyway for cold brew, but you know, now it's a requirement. But it's done. It's home. This is I'm comfortable. I'm happy here. I like being in here. So that was good. Getting that
Uh,
finished, which helped us do our next round of licensing and permits.
you just said something important, which is this is home and it feels good, but it is attached to your home. How does the family feel about maybe the construction part being uh, finished?
Well, being finished, where everybody's thrilled. I've got two small dogs who are more than happy not to have people coming in and out every day at random times of the day. They're little guys, so they're a little bit wound up. So this is good, going back to normal there. And then, honestly, the other side of this space was our bedroom. So the construction here affected that. It moved us out of that space for longer than it should have. So things got tense. Things got tense for a little bit. Um, but again, now that it's done, it's done, it's finished, it's pretty, and we can put all of that behind us now.
Well, so then what's the story with Inflection Point? How has this either helped or hurt, or have you grown? I know you're still doing farmers markets. What's the status of the roastery?
Well, during that year of chaos, we definitely hit a took a bit of a hit sales wise. We couldn't keep up with what we had been doing. I lost access to my larger roaster for an extended period. I had to downsize to something smaller that was a bit more portable. There was lots of issues there. Now that it's done, and I do have that roaster again, that's back to good. But like I mentioned before, the other big thing that finishing this space really allowed us to do is apply for. We had been a cottage A food operation here in California. This allowed us to apply to that next step, that cottage B, and really get through that process a little bit easier than it would have been otherwise.
So good thing. So back to kind of ramping up again, on especially I think on the wholesale side, right?
So that again, so let's talk about those. That's one of the big differences between the cottage A and the cottage B, right?
Right.
So in California, cottage A limits you to direct sales only. So I
Hmm.
have to be involved in the sale at some point. Either you're ordering from my website and I'm shipping it to you in California, or you're buying it from me at one of the farmers markets. But I'm directly involved in the sale, right? Cottage B allows me now to go to these cafes, these little gourmet shops, and say, hey, not only can you serve my coffee if you wanted to serve my coffee, but you can actually like carry and sell my beans now. So I can
Mm.
now do indirect sales, which is a
It's a
huge,
huge step.
huge
Yeah.
change. Yeah, that's a big thing for me. I am still limited to just operating within California, but given the size of population and the economy in the state, that's okay. I'm okay with that.
I always
For
think to
I mean,
myself, like, how are we continuing to open more and more and more roasters and coffee shops? But the reality is we're just absorbing them. The demand seems somewhat infinite. I mean, I can walk to 7 roasters from my house. I mean, it just never ends, and they don't seem to be slowing down. I kept thinking, hey, someone's going to close, and it just hasn't happened at this point. I saw a post you did recently about kind of some chaotic expectation for the future. You know, coffee is such an international industry. I'm not asking you to get into politics or anything, but I am wondering how, the cost of goods is going to depend a lot on tariffs, which is in the news, obviously every single minute of every day right now. I've been told. I'm not looking at the news myself. Uh, how do you plan for a future? You know, you'd also mentioned something about you were going through your books and you realized maybe we're not making as much money as I thought. And so how do you plan for an uncertain future for cost of goods?
so like I'll go back to what I mentioned a few times the first time we spoke here is I am in a pretty fortunate place where yes, I'm not making a lot of money, but I am covering overhead. I'm covering operations. It is self-sustaining at this point, and we are making a little bit. So I've been able to like build up, um, and so it's really more trying to plan for and to eliminate as much of the chaos as you can, right? So whatever ultimately happens right now, it's the what if that is kind of driving everybody a little bit crazy. And so if I can just get ahead of so many of those what ifs, I can avoid some of the crazy. So last year, before we left on vacation, I put in an order for a full year's supply of my coffee bags. What I would typically go through in a full year. I was in a position to be able to put in an order like that. So no matter what happens this year, my bag supply is taken care of. I'm good there. Um, Being a smaller roaster, though, I am very much limited. I can't really do some of the some of what the larger roasters can do. I don't do a lot of future purchases and buying stuff afloat. I am very much a spot purchaser, and so that puts me kind of at the mercy of the markets and whatever's happening at the time. Just because I don't have the space to have a lot of inventory here. Um, and so I do what I can to fill my space as much as I can now and just kind of ride it out as long as I can. But I'm in a position again, being in my home, my garage, this space here, my overhead is incredibly low. I'm the only one. My wife helps me out with the book. She helps me out at one of the farmers markets, but otherwise it's still just me. So I don't have employees that I have to worry about paying and all of that. Uh, so being small in some ways, it puts me very much at the mercy of what's happening in the moment. The best I can really do is kind of try to keep an eye on things, get ahead of what I can, and try to avoid some of the turbulence, some of the chaos, where
Mhm.
possible.
Well, and you're looking at it as a sense too, as at least you're nimble. You know, you can make adjustments without having to go through like a process with employees or with staffing or whatever. You're the one making the call in the moment. What has the vibe been like at the farmers markets in this brutal California winter? Are people excited about the farmers markets? You know, we've got one down the street from us I love to go to, but it definitely seems like the attendance is down a little bit.
So it depends on the market. I got very fortunate in the markets that I got into. Um, the La Jolla open air market there is one of the big markets in the San Diego area, and that was the second farmers market I got into ever. I mean, that was a huge get for me. That one really kept me going. We're also in a farmer's market in Encinitas. Again, it's another big enough market. There's enough foot traffic. There's enough regulars that come through. There are enough tourists that come through that I got very fortunate with some of the markets that I've gotten into. I've definitely seen other markets there. I don't know. I mean, it's that tough thing. Like everybody, they want to support local, they want to support small, they want to support that, but you're not necessarily getting the premium, the price premium. Let's put it that
Mm.
way. That you used to look forward to getting at a farmer's market, right? It's you're not getting better prices anymore, but you feel good about supporting the people that are there that you've developed these relationships with, you've got this community with. So it's, everybody's we're trying. It's everybody's just, yeah. um
Our farmers markets here in Southern California, in particular, and along this corridor. One of the neat things is a lot of the food that you find there is grown close, relatively speaking. When I talk to the farmer that I buy farm box from, Yasukochi Farms, little shout out to them. They're located 30 miles from here. They're not like a million miles away or in another country. They're not, I can actually talk to them at the farmer's market. And they tell me what they're doing at the farm, or they'll send me a message, about egg prices, for example. And we can stay communicating with that. And we can, I use egg prices as an example because the awareness that prices are going up is so drastic and people are so concerned about it. When I get that message from him, or from them, it's not a surprise so much. Coffee prices have been in the news a lot lately with people talking about the C price. Now, that might not affect every specialty roaster, but people are aware that prices are going up. Have you noticed that? I mean, have you had pricing increases because of changes in the
yeah.
marketplace?
I I've been struggling with that one. We had to implement our very first price increase since we opened up at the beginning of this year. Going back to that post where we were talking about how the pricing that we had been sticking with, I mean, I felt really good sticking with that pricing that we had in place for 4 solid years. We didn't touch prices at all. While everybody else was talking about shrinkflation and infant prices and everything else, we stuck with a full 16-ounce pound. We didn't touch our prices on it. We're able to stick to it. Again, because of how nimble, because of our low overhead and all those things, we could afford to do that. But we just, the remodel that we did finishing this space, that costs money. I have to pay for that. So it's an additional cost there that has to get rolled in somehow. And our plans for growth, what we do want to do to continue to grow going forward, I need to be able to plan for that. And so we took all of that into consideration, and we had some time to sit down and run some numbers and realize frankly, we were kind of giving away some of our coffee. I mean, we were making nothing once we accounted for all of the market fees and everything else there. And so it was just time. We had to do it. We had to do some price adjustments beginning this year. And now I'm looking ahead, and you mentioned the C market prices, where the cost of the green coffee itself is at unprecedented levels right now. It again doesn't fully relate to specialty and all of that, but it's still there's an effect there. Um, we have to account for that. And so as much as I would love to say that these new prices that we settled on will be able to stick with for 3-4 years to come, I don't know. I mean, we have to be serious about, like you said, you've kind of surprised that there hasn't been this rush, this rash of roaster closings. But like, how nimble, how much is every roaster going to be able to kind of keep up with what may be coming soon? So it's, yeah, we had to increase prices. I hated doing it, But in order for us to be able to not only continue what we're doing now, but to go where we want to go, it was a necessity. I hope we don't
The
have to
problem,
again.
the problem with people like you, Andrew, and frankly, like myself, is that we want people to have this thing that we're doing. We want to share whatever the thing is that we're creating or making with you, and you don't want to pay for it. Just take it. You know what? Why don't you take it and let me give you a present while we're at it? Because I really just am excited that somebody is listening or cares or wants to read something I've written. And I think a lot of coffee roasters are like that too. They'll take the hit when they can. Anything that as we're just popping in today, anything that you want to get out in the world or off your chest or you want to say about your coffee these days?
The coffee these days. So I feel really good about what I've been doing. What we're trying to grow here. Part of the remodel, we added more than double the amount of solar panels that we had before. We are a net contributor to the grid. We are doing what we can. I think I ran into, and I mentioned I had this thought about relating sustainability to the good place, the something like that. And it really just comes down to we're so fully interconnected at this point. We can't this idea of becoming this isolationist. Oh, we can just do it here. The coffee that we grow in Hawaii and Puerto Rico would sustain the country for all of 2 weeks, maybe.
I was going to guess less than that, but
Probably less than that.
yeah.
I'm sure somebody can do the math if we ask nicely. So I mean, we have to if we're going to continue to, do the things and have the things that we enjoy, these little luxuries like coffee. We have to rely on other places, on other countries, and we're just so interconnected. It's that you have to be aware of it, and you can only do your part, as much as you can. You can only really worry about as much as you can do. So, like I said, we're doing the solar power. We've got electric roasters. I look for coffees that are sustainably grown. That's kind of one of my other things there. Those are the little things I can do to try to keep coffee clean, keeping it small and local, trying to keep it affordable. I mean, those are the little things I can do. That's what I can control. The rest of it I have to be aware of, but I can't worry too much about it,
I bet it's easier because you're sitting in this lovely new space. You can just tune it all out
Oh,
and
it's so
relax.
pretty. It's so pretty.
It looks nice. Andrew, it's been a pleasure. As always, thanks for being here. To everyone listening, I'm going to link to Inflection Point Coffee. I'm going to link to roastery.com, our presenting sponsor. Of course, our newsletter. All of that's going to be in your show notes, or you can find it on the coffeepeoplepodcast.com. Just search for Coffee People wherever you're listening. Apple, Spotify. Like it, subscribe it. I think it helps. Nobody really knows anymore. What does help is having great collaborators. I know that I've had those and great guests. Andrew's been here several times. So make sure you're checking out all those episodes. Thanks for listening to us share the stories of coffee people. Tip your baristas, especially at farmers markets. Be sure to drink good coffee. Andrew, anything else?
I think you covered it, man. That sounds great. Cheers.